The only question, I think, is the health and safety issue around this one workshop. And worst case scenario, or best case scenario, depending on which end you're looking at it from, is that it would have to find a space either in the basement or on the first floor as a temporary relocation, but the cost would be enormous.
But you know, for these are courses that just occupy a very discrete area, and things that happen in Central House feel like they may as well be happening on the moon. They don't feel like they're going to have an immediate effect, you know. So that kind of ricochet of how much effect it's going to have to every part of this building.
Well, I think
you know, I think
compared to what happens when the library moves in.
Well, exactly.
Peanuts.
So that's what I've told them, but that isn't necessarily where the conversation ends.
I think this is bad.
Yeah, I said that. Didn't go down well.
Apparently the butterfly flaps its wings on one side of the world. That could have an enormous
not to build, no.
So it does most areas. Anne's writing all of that down. Andy's aware of it, Charlotte. So Andy is speaking to me, and maybe we can speak when he comes over now, but he is feeding that information into your conversation about identifying studio spaces.
Yeah.
So I think we're fairly close to identifying the problem and not finding a solution.
No, but I think even if we were able to just give people an indicative timeline of when they'll know, then that might be enough just to say, leave it with us for a period of time, we'll look after
let's
it.
arrange that. I mean, effectively, the end of April is the date, because that's when we're pulling together the timetable, all the funding.
I thought is going to be May.
And on the library at the moment, the process of putting that forward as a bid to go into the next budget is underway, not by us, obviously, by the libraries. And I was saying to Charlotte yesterday, the issue of how much space the library takes, I think will come down in the end to how far we say that space that the library have planned to make available to our students in the form of places to read or sit or whatever is already accommodated in our studio plans. And I think it is to a large degree. I mean, students are going to use the studios as study areas in a way they haven't been able to do previously. And we have to call how much overlap there is, and then we'll be asking them to take that space out of the library scheme. It's not I think it's a little bit of a sort of paper exercise, because obviously we don't have to pay for space that the library would otherwise pay for. But I think it's a true argument. And the aim really is to get the library then down to 2 floors plus a bit of the ground floor in total, and that's it. And I think we will achieve that. There's a conversation around the Parker collection, which I think is still raging.
So I've met with Chris Smith, John Cross and Sue Newton. We've gone through the contract. I've got some proposals A, B and C to bring to you in terms of it.
I think it's, I clarified that this morning, it's in the budget to keep, nobody's talking about losing the collection at the moment.
But whether it's in the faculty, in the library as part of those A, B or C.
Okay.
I've got one more thing. There's nobody from Central House here, but you've been covered on this. John Finnerty suddenly keeps asking to do something in Central House, and then was asked to put a model there. And I emailed him saying that it's very important that the students, after Easter, it's run into the assessments and the summer showing, and we don't want to lose that. Could you tell me all the other things you want to do? And then he said there's going to be lots of people coming around for tests for things like asbestos. And that worries me quite a lot, because I've been involved in these tests for asbestos. And one of 3 things happens when there's a test for asbestos. They come in and don't find any, and that's fine. They come in and find some, but they think it's safe and it's better to leave it as it is. Or they come in and find some, and then they seal off very large areas of the building that you can't use. And
Anne and I have been very much involved with Bill Hunt, to try to stop this happening, because they do want to do 2 things. First of all, is take possessions of part of the 3rd floor at the beginning of May. The other thing they want to do is set up their contractor's enclosure in early May on them, and we said no to that. I think it's probably slightly different in terms of the asbestos survey here, because effectively any asbestos removal work is going to be in the contract anyway.
Yes.
This is just investigative work in advance of the contract.
Well, it's the 3rd scenario that worries me, because might close off a large area if they discover it and find that it's leaking or potentially leaking.
I think, I wouldn't guarantee it, but I don't think you'll find that on the third floor.
No, I wouldn't. No, I don't know.
Fourth floor of Stapleton House.
Yes.
But this idea they're going to take possession of part of that is being fought. I think obviously what it means is that any prospect that we delay things such that we can use the third floor for design show is completely out of the question. What you're talking about is mocking up one of the studio walls. Anne was going to suggest that was done in the basement of the bank.
Yes. Yeah.
And whilst we're talking about the knock-on roofs, and I just raise, I don't know whether you're aware of it or not, but Registry are trying to book the ground floor of Central House from the middle of August through to the middle of October. And the second floor, one room, from the middle of August through to the middle of October.
Do they know that there's building work?
So I've got.
I meant to follow that up with Pam.
But they're chasing Levant. Levant's trying to hold them off, but they're still under that expectation.
Who is Registry nowadays?
Natalie Abede. This has come from Natalie Abede, but presumably also David Ely. David Ely, Registry Chief.
No,
Yeah.
Paul Bow was Registry Chief.
Here's a second.
I mean, I've been told that they weren't going to require it this year because it was such a
that's
mitigated disaster last year.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But Levant is being harangued for it. They still think, somebody in Registry still thinks they're coming.
They're going to find some asbestos in the ground floor, haven't they? Okay, thank you very much. Unless there's any other business. What time is the meeting?
I put 3:30, but I don't want to say.
So worth me just mentioning procurement, Alison, as I leave that.
Are you doing 5 minutes?
I'm doing 2 minutes just to say that Billy and procurement have gone through the process of trying to come down with a preferred supplier for quite a lot of one of our biggest general things of general materials, screws, not wood but screws and paint and everything like that. And all the technicians are adamant they want screw fix because they believe it's the cheapest and they believe they do free delivery within 24 hours. Procurement have gone through the process and found some other company to be £12,000 cheaper, purely because they've been going away and comparing named brand products, whereas we buy Screwfix own brands as opposed. So I'm not quite sure what the situation is going to be, but the technicians are not happy. But I'll just warn you if that starts coming your way.
On a show.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
I'll just go around my credit card. Okay, thank you. Who's sent
Charlotte. Thank you, everyone. Glutton for punishment.
Do you want me to say?
Would you like to? It'd be nice.
Well, we've got the answer to everyone.
No,
Before you go.